Imagine finally making $10,000 every month, yet somehow still feeling completely stuck.
For most people, that income sounds like freedom, because that's exactly what we've always been taught.
Work hard, earn more, buy a better life, and eventually everything will fall into place.
But after reaching that milestone, many people discover something they never expected.
Their income changed, but their daily life still feels strangely familiar.
Every morning still begins with an alarm clock instead of real freedom.
The commute is longer, the responsibilities are bigger, and the pressure somehow becomes even heavier. Instead of buying freedom, a higher salary often purchases even greater obligations.
Instead of buying freedom, a higher salary often purchases even greater obligations.
And that's when people begin asking a very uncomfortable question.
If I'm earning this much, why don't I actually feel financially free? The answer isn't found in your paycheck. It's hidden inside the system itself.
That system has a name, and millions of successful people are still trapped inside it.
It doesn't matter whether you earn $3,000 or $30,000 every month. The trap isn't your salary. It's what your salary depends on.
The moment you stop working, the income usually stops too.
That's the invisible leash very few people ever notice.
And once you finally recognize it, everything about money starts looking completely different.
Here's the strange part. The more money many people make, the more trapped they often become.
Daniel thought earning 6 figures would solve every financial problem he had.
For a while, everything felt exactly the way he imagined success would feel.
A better apartment, better vacations, better restaurants, better everything.
But those upgrades quietly came with larger monthly commitments hiding behind them. Without realizing it, his lifestyle had become just as expensive as his paycheck had become valuable.
This is called lifestyle inflation, and almost everyone experiences it at some point.
The scary part is that it rarely feels like you're spending too much.
Each purchase seems completely reasonable all by itself.
After all, you worked hard for your money. Why shouldn't you enjoy it?
The problem isn't enjoying life. The problem is becoming dependent on constantly earning more.
That's when higher income quietly turns into higher pressure. Missing one paycheck suddenly feels far more dangerous than it ever did before.
The bigger your lifestyle becomes, the harder it is to imagine stepping away from your job.
Ironically, earning more doesn't always create more freedom. Sometimes it creates more dependence. Daniel wasn't chasing promotions anymore. He was chasing the ability to maintain his current life.
That's why so many high earners secretly feel trapped, even while everyone else believes they've made it.
So if making more money isn't enough, what actually breaks the cycle? That's exactly what we'll uncover next. What Daniel discovered next is something psychologists call the golden handcuffs. They're not real handcuffs. They're invisible commitments that quietly control your future decisions.
Every promotion increased Daniel's salary, but every promotion also increased what he couldn't afford to lose.
The higher he climbed, the more expensive it became to ever climb back down.
Quitting no longer felt like an exciting option. It felt terrifying.
Not because he loved the job, but because too many people depended on that paycheck.
That's why financial freedom isn't measured by income alone.
It's measured by how many choices your money actually gives you.
Can you take 6 months off without worrying? Could you change careers tomorrow if you wanted? If the answer is no, then your income may still be controlling your life. Daniel slowly realized he didn't actually own his lifestyle. His lifestyle owned him.
That realization changes the question from how much you earn to what your money is actually doing.
Every dollar has a job. It can either fund today's lifestyle or help build tomorrow's freedom.
There's nothing wrong with enjoying your success. The key is making your money work alongside you.
For the first time, Daniel stopped asking how to earn more and started asking how to depend less.
That simple shift in thinking became the beginning of a completely different financial journey.
Because real wealth isn't measured by income. It's measured by the freedom your income creates.
And the moment you understand that difference, escaping the rat race finally becomes possible.
So what actually separates people who escape the rat race from those who never do?
It isn't intelligence. It isn't luck. And surprisingly, it isn't even a higher salary.
The biggest difference is how they think about every dollar they earn.
Most people spend their income first and hope they can save whatever remains.
People who build wealth often reverse that order completely. They ask one simple question before buying anything. Will this help my future or only satisfy today?
That doesn't mean never enjoying your money. It means giving every dollar a purpose.
Daniel began learning the difference between spending money and putting money to work.
An expense takes money out once. A productive asset can continue creating value over time.
The goal isn't to collect more possessions. The goal is to collect more freedom.
Daniel stopped measuring success by what people could see and started measuring what they couldn't.
Financial security isn't always visible from the outside, but you can definitely feel it on the inside.
Real wealth quietly buys options, flexibility, and peace of mind long before it buys luxury.
Little by little, Daniel began building systems that didn't depend entirely on his daily effort.
Each small decision seemed insignificant alone, but together they completely changed his future.
Escaping the rat race rarely happens through one giant leap. It usually happens through hundreds of small ones.
Months later, Daniel noticed something unexpected. His confidence no longer came from his paycheck.
It came from knowing he was finally building a life that could support itself. And that's where our story goes next. Now Daniel stopped asking how to work harder and started asking a much better question. How can today's effort continue creating value even after today's work is finished?
That single question completely changed the direction of his financial journey.
Successful people still work hard. The difference is what their hard work continues producing later.
Instead of only trading hours for income, Daniel began creating things that could keep delivering value.
A single hour of thoughtful effort can sometimes create benefits that last much longer than that hour.
That's the beginning of building leverage, instead of simply building longer workdays.
Little by little, Daniel noticed his confidence coming from preparation instead of pressure. The goal was never to stop working. The goal was to create more choices about when and how to work.
Freedom begins the moment your calendar stops controlling every financial decision you make.
Daniel no longer celebrated every paycheck. He celebrated every month he became a little less dependent on it. Progress rarely looks dramatic day by day, but over time, it becomes impossible to ignore. That's why patience becomes one of the most valuable financial skills you'll ever develop.
Instead of constantly chasing the next promotion, Daniel focused on building a stronger financial foundation.
Every thoughtful decision became another small brick, supporting the future she wanted to build.
You don't have to transform your entire life overnight. You only need to improve your direction.
Looking back, Daniel realized the biggest change had happened inside his mindset, long before it appeared in his finances.
And once your thinking changes first, your financial future finally has room to change with it. Let's keep going.
By now, Daniel understood something that most people never realize, even after decades of working.
Money is important, but time is the one resource that can never be earned back.
Every financial decision is really a decision about how you'll spend your future time.
That's why truly wealthy people often protect their time even more carefully than their money.
I appreciate the invite, but I think I'll head home tonight.
Yeah.
And that's how I discovered pasta is my therapy. I needed this book.
Yeah.
Just needed this view.
His schedule slowly stopped feeling crowded and started feeling intentional.
Financial freedom isn't about doing nothing. It's about choosing what deserves your attention.
For the first time in years, Daniel wasn't constantly checking the clock.
Instead, he measured his progress by how much peace his decisions were creating.
That's when Daniel finally understood the difference between being rich and feeling wealthy.
His bank account mattered, but it no longer determined whether he felt successful that day.
Real wealth often looks surprisingly ordinary from the outside, because peace doesn't always attract attention.
Many people spend years trying to impress strangers while forgetting to build a life they actually enjoy.
Daniel stopped comparing himself with everyone else and started comparing himself with who he was yesterday.
That simple habit quietly replaced pressure with purpose and anxiety with confidence.
When you stop competing with everyone else, your own progress becomes much easier to appreciate.
For the first time in years, Daniel felt like he was directing his life instead of simply reacting to it.
And once you start living with intention instead of habit, everything about money begins to feel different. Let's finish this journey. At this point, Daniel wasn't chasing a bigger paycheck anymore. He was chasing a better life. Ironically, that's when opportunities started appearing that he'd never noticed before.
When your mind isn't constantly occupied by survival, it finally has room for creativity.
That's one of the hidden rewards of financial freedom that almost nobody talks about.
Instead of asking what pays the most, Daniel started asking, What creates the most meaning?
The surprising part was that those two answers gradually became more closely connected.
Because lasting success usually becomes easier when your work also aligns with your values.
And that's how we'll revolutionize our process. It feels so good to work towards something you truly believe in.
And over time, those investments reached far beyond money into every area of his life.
The funny thing is, Daniel's income eventually grew again. But this time, it wasn't the goal.
It simply became a natural result of making better decisions over a long period of time.
Small improvements repeated consistently often outperform dramatic changes that never last.
That's why escaping the rat race is less about speed and much more about direction.
Daniel stopped worrying about where everyone else was because he finally trusted his own path.
Confidence grows quietly when your daily actions finally match the future you're trying to create.
Eventually, success stops feeling like something you're chasing and starts feeling like something you're living.
Looking back, Daniel realized the biggest victory wasn't earning more money. It was gaining more freedom.
And that brings us to the final lesson, the one that can completely change how you define success. So after everything Daniel learned, his definition of success became surprisingly simple.
Success wasn't owning the biggest house or driving the most expensive car anymore. Success became waking up excited instead of exhausted, and ending the day feeling proud instead of drained.
Money became a useful tool instead of something that constantly demanded attention.
He finally understood that earning more was never the finish line. Living better was.
This is the life, isn't it?
Absolutely. Cheers to us.
Maybe that's the real goal all along. Not escaping work, but escaping unnecessary pressure.
Because when pressure fades, curiosity, creativity, and purpose finally have room to grow.
And that's when success quietly stops looking impressive to strangers and starts feeling meaningful to you.
Think about it. If someone handed you another $10,000 tomorrow, would your life actually become more free?
Or would it simply make your current lifestyle a little more expensive than it already is?
The answer to that question may reveal more about your future than your current salary ever could.
Because financial freedom starts long before your bank account reaches a certain number.
It begins the moment you stop letting money decide every decision you make. One thoughtful decision today can quietly improve hundreds of future days that you haven't even lived yet.
So don't chase money at the cost of your life. Build a life that money can support.
Daniel never escaped work completely. He escaped the feeling that work controlled his entire life.
If this story changed how you think about success, share it with someone who needs to hear it. And remember, real wealth is the freedom to choose your own life.